If you live in Arizona, in or around the Phoenix area, and you're considering bankruptcy, you'll love this tip from Christy Thompson of ArizonaLegalAdvocacy.com.
Let's talk about the difference in debt settlement and bankruptcy. Which is better?
That is such a good question, and I get that question all the time. All of my clients want to do the right thing. They want to pay their debt, and if they had the means to do it, I'd suggest they do it. But the majority of my clients simply don't, and so we're clear on this. Let me give you a brief explanation of it. Debt settlement is a company that takes a monthly payment from you. Typically, they will sit down and kind of prioritize your debts, find out how much debt you have, and they earn a percentage off of the debt that they settle for you. They will come up with a payment schedule for you. Let's say, for example, you're going to pay them $700 a month. So you pay that $700 a month. That's put into a savings account for you in their name. And once there's a lump sum that's sufficient to settle with your creditors, they'll start the settlement process. And then, of course, they're charging for this fee, this percentage. So say, for example, you have 3 credit cards that total $25,000. And this is all unsecured debt, meaning there's not a house or a car. It's just credit card debt. The debt settlement company will tell you that they can settle the accounts for $15,000, which is 60% of the debt. And then they'll charge you a fee of $3,700, which is 15% of the total debt. So really, if you look at that, your total payment to settle your $25,000 in credit card debt is actually $18,700. And then again, you're making these $700 a month payments for 24 months or longer in order to meet this goal. So what happens for a lot of my clients is even $700 is just simply too much. And the other issue that happens with my clients is that the creditors don't necessarily agree. These 3 credit card companies may not be willing to settle with you. This is not something they'll go along with, especially if you're employed. They'd be more inclined to simply sue you and garnish your wages and get the amount from you that way. The problem with the debt settlement company is, of course, they can't represent you in court because they're not a law firm, and you also haven't retained them to do that. So where I see the majority of my clients is they're halfway through their debt settlement process, which means they've probably paid them the $3,700 that they owe the debt settlement company, but they don't have sufficient funds to settle, or the credit card companies aren't agreeing to settle and they're facing a lawsuit. Now, if you compare that to bankruptcy, first of all, bankruptcy is typically much less expensive. You can spend anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500, including all of your fees in bankruptcy. Also, we talked about that 24-month payment that you'd be looking at. In a Chapter 7, if you qualify, you don't make any payments on your debt. The other issue, not only are you making not any payments, not only is the cost less expensive, but finally bankruptcy can take as little as 4 months, as opposed to the 24 months we were talking about, making all of those payments on a monthly basis. So that's how bankruptcy can be so much better. And then finally, if you don't qualify for Chapter 7, you can qualify for Chapter 13, which is essentially the same plan that you put together with your debt settlement company. You are making a minimum monthly payment, but better yet, you have the protection of the court, so none of your creditors can bring a lawsuit against you. So I really suggest bankruptcy. It's more efficient, it's less expensive, and you have court protection, which is so important when you're dealing with your creditors. Once bankruptcy is finalized, or even after you've filed bankruptcy, you can start a new credit relationship with creditors and start building up your credit. Whereas while you're in a debt settlement for 2 years, none of your bills are being paid, and to be brutally honest with you, your credit's being trashed. Now, bankruptcy is going to trash your credit, true, but it gives you the opportunity to rebuild it. It's completely different from debt settlement because it's such a quick process.
Thanks, Christy. We appreciate you answering our questions. If you have specific questions for Christy or would like to find out more about filing for bankruptcy in or around Phoenix, Arizona, visit Christy's website at ArizonaLegalAdvocacy.com.